Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most talked about and highly discussed military questions in modern geopolitics. What exactly would the United States use if it launched a major attack on Iran? And how those tools of power shape the battlefield long before a single shot is fired. Understanding this topic requires looking at the complex layers of American military capability, the motivations behind such an action, and the strategic instruments that define modern warfare. While the world hopes conflict never escalates to this point, exploring the technology, doctrines, and assets offers insight into how powerful nations project force and influence global events. In this deep dive video, we break down the platforms, aircraft, ships, cyber tools, intelligence networks, and advanced weapons the U.S. relies on during high-stakes military operations, and why these systems are designed the way they are. The starting point for any major U.S. military action is intelligence. Before anything happens in the sky, on land, or at sea, the U.S. gathers an enormous amount of information through satellites, reconnaissance aircraft, cyber surveillance, and human intelligence. Space-based assets like early warning satellites, imaging satellites, and signals interception systems allow the U.S. to monitor Iran's nuclear sites, military bases, missile silos, command centers, and troop movements with precision. High-altitude aircraft such as the U-2 Dragon Lady and RQ-4 Global Hawk drones also gather real-time data, sending back images, heat signatures, radar snapshots, and electronic communications. This intelligence forms the backbone of every strategic decision, helping the U.S. identify critical targets, predict responses, and plan routes for stealth aircraft. Without this invisible layer of information warfare, none of the other tools would be nearly as effective. Once intelligence has been collected, the first wave of any U.S. attack would rely heavily on stealth bombers and cruise missiles. The B-2 Spirit, one of the most iconic and advanced aircraft ever created, is designed specifically for missions like deep strikes against heavily defended targets. Capable of flying through dense radar networks and evading detection, the B-2 can carry conventional bunker-buster bombs, precision-guided munitions, and specialized payloads designed to take out fortified underground facilities. In the context of striking Iran's nuclear facilities, many of which are buried deep beneath mountains or reinforced concrete, the B-2 is often considered the U.S. primary and most effective tool. Its ability to enter contested airspace undetected gives the U.S. a huge strategic advantage, especially during the opening hours of a conflict. Another major platform would be the F-35 Lightning II, the U.S. fifth-generation multi-role stealth fighter. Unlike the B-2, which focuses on strategic bombing, the F-35 combines stealth, speed, advanced sensors, and electronic warfare capabilities. It can jam enemy radar, gather real-time battlefield data, suppress air defenses, and strike high-altitude targets with precision. The aircraft systems allow it to network with other planes, drones, and ships, creating a unified combat picture that gives U.S. forces unmatched situational awareness. In a conflict with Iran, the F-35 would likely play a major role in neutralizing surface-to-air missile sites, early warning radars, and command centers. The goal would be to weaken Iran's ability to defend its airspace and slow its ability to coordinate a response. While aircraft dominate the sky, the U.S. Navy plays a critical role from the sea. Aircraft carriers such as the USS Nimitz or USS Eisenhower act as floating airbases, launching and recovering dozens of fighter jets, surveillance aircraft, and electronic warfare planes. The presence of a U.S. carrier strike group near Iran instantly changes the regional balance of power. Carriers are accompanied by cruisers and destroyers equipped with the Aegis combat system, giving them advanced radar tracking, missile defense capabilities, and powerful offensive weaponry. These naval vessels carry Tomahawk cruise missiles, which are often among the first weapons used in any U.S. strike. Tomahawks can fly low, hug terrain, navigate around obstacles, and hit targets hundreds of miles inland with surgical accuracy. They are ideal for taking out radar stations, air defense nodes, power grids, and strategic facilities without putting pilots at risk. Submarines are another key factor. The U.S. deploys some of the world's most advanced nuclear-powered submarines, including the Virginia-class attack subs and the Ohio-class guided missile submarines. These subs operate underwater for extended periods and carry dozens of Tomahawk missiles. Their stealth makes them extremely difficult to detect, allowing them to get close to enemy coastlines and deliver sudden, devastating strikes. Submarines also serve as intelligence platforms, monitoring communications, tracking ship movements, and intercepting signals deep within contested regions. Their ability to stay hidden while delivering powerful blows makes them essential to any large-scale U.S. attack strategy. Cyber warfare has become just as important as missiles and aircraft. Before physical strikes begin, the U.S. would almost certainly launch cyber operations aimed at disrupting Iran's air defenses, communication networks, and command systems. This could involve disabling radar, interrupting military databases, jamming missile guidance systems, or cutting power to key infrastructure. Cyber tools allow the U.S. to weaken the enemy without revealing its presence, and they create confusion during the opening moments of a conflict. For a country like Iran, which relies on a mix of modern and legacy systems, cyber attacks can be highly effective at sowing disorder and slowing response times. Electronic warfare also plays a massive role. U.S. aircraft like the EA-18G Growler are equipped with sophisticated jamming equipment that can blind enemy radar, confuse missile systems, and disrupt communications. These aircraft escort strike fighters and bombers, ensuring they can enter hostile territory with a lower risk of being targeted. During an operation against Iran, one of the most heavily defended nations in the Middle East, electronic warfare would be essential to keep U.S. aircraft safe and maintain control of the aerial battle space. On the ground, U.S. Special Operations Forces would likely be involved in covert missions, although their roles are usually classified. These elite units conduct reconnaissance, sabotage operations, and target identification missions behind enemy lines. They help guide airstrikes, locate high-value assets, rescue downed pilots, and coordinate with local allies. Their actions can greatly enhance the accuracy and success of larger military operations. However, their deployment is always strategic and limited, focusing on very specific objectives that require human presence rather than long-distance weapons. Another critical component is missile defense. Anytime the U.S. engages in a conflict with a country capable of launching ballistic missiles, such as Iran, it deploys systems like THAAD and Patriot missile batteries to protect its forces and allies in the region. These systems track incoming missiles and destroy them before they reach their targets. Missile defense is not only a protective measure, but also a psychological strategy, giving U.S. troops and regional partners confidence while reducing the enemy's ability to strike back effectively. Logistics also play an enormous, often unseen role in U.S. military operations. Tanker aircraft like the KC-135 and KC-46 provide aerial refueling, allowing fighters and bombers to stay in the air for extended periods. Transport aircraft like the C-17 Globemaster Roman III and C-5 Galaxy move equipment, munitions, and personnel to forward bases. Support from allied countries, access to airfields, and prepositioned equipment across the Middle East contribute to the speed and strength of U.S. operations. The logistical network is vast, coordinated, and constantly maintained so that the U.S. can respond rapidly to any developing crisis. The types of weapons used during an attack vary depending on the target. For hardened or underground bunkers, the U.S. relies on specialized penetrator bombs, designed to drill through layers of concrete or rock before detonating. Precision guided munitions allow the U.S. to strike with accuracy while minimizing collateral damage. In open-air environments, Joint Direct Attack munitions provide cost-effective and reliable firepower. For long-distance strikes, cruise missiles, and stealth, delivered payloads provide low-visibility, high-impact options. Altogether, these tools form a layered attack system that combines speed, stealth, precision, and overwhelming force. It's also important to consider the political strategy behind these tools. The U.S. military is built to achieve specific objectives quickly while controlling escalation. In a situation involving Iran, the goal would likely be to disable nuclear capabilities, weaken military infrastructure, deter future aggression, or send a powerful message to leadership, all without engaging in a prolonged ground war. This is why the emphasis is on air power, naval power, cyber operations, and long-range precision strikes. They allow the U.S. to dominate the battlefield while limiting exposure to direct combat casualties. Iran's defenses, on the other hand, are substantial, which is why the U.S. deploys such advanced systems. Iran has radar networks, ballistic missiles, anti-aircraft systems, drones, and a large military presence across the region. Any attack would require careful planning and overwhelming force to reduce the risk to U.S. personnel. This is why stealth technology, electronic warfare, cruise missiles, and submarine operations are so critical. They allow the U.S. to neutralize threats step by step, from afar, while minimizing the enemy's ability to respond effectively. Beyond the physical weapons, diplomacy and psychological elements are also deeply intertwined with military action. The presence of U.S. carrier groups, strategic bombers, and deployed missile defenses sends a strong message even before any conflict occurs. These forces influence negotiations, shape global reactions, and affect the calculations of rival nations. The credibility of U.S. military power is part of what deters other countries from escalating conflicts. In the case of Iran, showing readiness through military exercises, fleet movements, and aerial patrols can prevent tensions from rising to the point of war. Ultimately, what the U.S. would use to attack Iran is not just a list of aircraft and missiles. It is a carefully orchestrated combination of intelligence, cyber tools, stealth aircraft, naval firepower, special forces capabilities, logistics, and regional partnerships. Each piece plays a role in creating dominance across air, land, sea, space, and cyberspace. The U.S. military is designed to operate as an interconnected web of technologies and personnel, each feeding data into the next, creating a picture of the battlefield that no rival nation can easily match. This interconnected approach gives the U.S. the ability to strike quickly, precisely, and effectively, even against heavily defended targets. The idea is not simply to destroy targets, but to shape the conflict environment so decisively that the opponent cannot coordinate a meaningful response. That is why the U.S. invests so heavily in stealth platforms, automation, electronic warfare, and advanced communication networks. These systems ensure that any attack is not only powerful but also controlled, strategic, and guided by real-time information. This capability is what allows the U.S. to achieve its objectives with lower casualties and reduced collateral damage, something that is increasingly important in modern warfare where global perception and political consequences matter just as much as battlefield success. As global tensions shift and technology evolves, the tools the U.S. uses continue to transform. New generations of drones, hypersonic weapons, artificial intelligence systems, and satellite networks are being developed to further strengthen the U.S. ability to project power with precision. In the context of Iran or any future adversary, these advancements mean the U.S. can strike faster, gather more accurate intelligence, and operate more safely. Every year brings new capabilities that change the landscape of warfare and redefine what a military operation could look like. In conclusion, the U.S. military's approach to any potential attack on Iran is based on a combination of overwhelming firepower, advanced technology, meticulous planning, and strategic precision. From stealth bombers and cruise missiles to cyber weapons and carrier strike groups, the U.S. uses layered systems designed to dominate every domain of warfare. Understanding these tools helps explain why the U.S. maintains such a powerful global presence and how it prepares for the most challenging military scenarios. While the hope is always for diplomacy to prevail, exploring these systems reveals how modern military power operates and what shapes decisions at the highest levels of government.